r/ask Reddit. What happened at your work which caused multiple people to all quit at once? The company consistently outpaced competing firms and found itself emerging as one of the industry leading agencies. This was also a California tech firm. So shorts, flip-flops, beers at lunch, smoking on the roof were all rather common. But we were rapidly growing, and the atmosphere location made us a hot ticket for talent. Anyway, CFO and CMO cashed out and the CEO decided to totally remodel the company by making it far more corporate. On top of all of this, they implemented unattainable goals and removed our work from home policy. The final straw was they removed our rather generous vacation policy and replaced it with unlimited vacation, which was a facade for you can take as much vacation as you want if we approve it. Like 1/4 of the company quit and immediately landed at better jobs. Also profit tanked. I did landscape construction. The cheap-ass owner kept taking bigger and bigger projects while never hiring more help. We were all overwhelmed, stressed, and anxious as hell. One of our foremen quit and I followed suit a few days later. 2 more guys quit the next day. He was down to 3 guys for the obscene amount of work he wanted to do. Of course everything gets way behind schedule, but he's convinced it's not his fault at all. He went out of business less than a year later. Restructure of the way we're paid. What I used to do involved about 40% client interaction, 20% team co-worker interaction, and 40% paperwork and case coordination stuff. Based on what we do, that means only 40% of the time is technically billable. And there are really sticky rules for what is and isn't billable. So, logically, we were being paid on a salary model. Cue management saying we can only make money for the time we have that is actually billable. 1/4 of the department quit. 2 of us on the same day worked in construction as part of our HSE team. The chief engineer was pissed that the job was taking slower because of the HSE, especially safety procedures. We had a couple lost time incidents at this point in just a week before a guy almost died. But he was still pretty pissed about the delays, so he got everyone in a room to say, "You're not here to do your jobs. You're here to do what I tell you to do." 20 people asked to quit on the spot. Fucking cunt. We were told we'd all have to take a drug test. ICE contacted the in-house temp service, questioning them about illegal workers. Over 20 people mysteriously disappeared at lunchtime. A couple months later, most of them were back, with different names. Our company relocated from a small suburb to a large city. Pretty much everyone had to take public transportation to get there. My supervisor was firm in only allowing 2 work from home days a week. I told him I was exhausted and having 1 more WFH day would make a huge difference. But he wouldn't budge. I told him I would need a raise, because I was spending hundreds of dollars a month on transportation, and it felt like I had been demoted. He refused. I was offered another job, and I took it. He was shocked that I was leaving. About a month later, all but the worst employee had either left the company or left his department. Company changed from 5 8-hour shifts to a 12-hour shift rotation. A well-known colleague committed suicide, and we were told by management via a brief side note in an email about stats at the end of the day. It caused a lot of upset in the office and quite a few people didn't return after this. We don't know for sure, but at my last job, me and the people I worked with had our suspicions that the company was actually a front. The guy who owned the company had credit cards with at least 3 different names on them. His mail had the same few different names, and he even had bank accounts under different names. 3 of the girls got other jobs before me and the other remaining girl, and we were subsequently made redundant, because it was just the 2 of us. I'm glad I got out one way or another though. I worked at a summer camp that was just a nightmare. Me, the lifeguard, and both program coordinators were new. Everyone else was former campers the director hired out of blindness and misplaced affection. Incidents that summer included a camp counselor hitting a camper and getting fired. Camp counselors casually discussing sex in front of small children. I remember watching in horror as a 6-year-old asked what deep throating is and the camp counselor explaining it's just digging a deep hole with a shovel. The lifeguard, 21, having a rumored sexual relationship with a junior counselor, 16. Counselors stealing camp supplies. A camp counselor smoking pot during breaks and sharing it with campers. There was probably more I'm forgetting. A few weeks in, after the first kid got fired, both the program coordinators quit as they didn't want their names attached to that. The owner died and his idiot son took over and decided that the company didn't make him enough money and started to implement cost-cutting measures like turning off the AC in the building. We had a handshake agreement with the C-levels. 3 months of 5 10s or 12s as needed to get a project back on track for a 10k bonus. Then they kept letting the scope creep and amended our handshake to 5 10s till the project was done. 6 months after starting we all threatened to quit as a team, so they paid us and told us we could go back to 8s. The paycheck cleared and we all turned in 2 weeks notice that month. They lost the entire software dev, test, and PM team on that project. The project was scrapped the next year because nobody knew how to maintain it because we left no documentation because of the death march not leaving us time or give a fuck to document. Anytime I've seen a mass exodus, it was because of poor management. I've never seen it organized. Just a bunch of employees independently deciding to quit in the same month because the management was so bad. I used to work at a McDonald's. And we had a terrible manager who hated a lot of people working there. Everyone else hated him too. But no one wanted to call him out on his shit and quit. I was the first to do it. Because I requested 2 weeks off in August of that year. About 3 months in advance. My family likes to plan our summer vacations early on. When August came around he had my schedule set up for all of August off except for those specific 2 weeks. There was no way that he could have misinterpreted my request. When I got my schedule, I stormed into the restaurant, called him out on everything, and then quit on the spot. About 2 weeks after that, I heard from one of my work friends that 5 other people had enough and quit as well. I kind of felt good to be the first. New management. In a month, 4 kitchen staff quit, leaving me to be the only original kitchen staff hire from the previous manager. She completely changed the vibe of the workplace. No one was happy. No one felt like talking or listening to music or being friendly. It was robotic. At one of my old jobs new management took over and she was just awful. She stripped me of a promotion that the previous manager gave me that I worked my ass off for. Put trainees on a loan during a holiday. Just a whole bunch of shit. Like 5 of us got together after the final straw and quit together. School district I sometimes sub in had a big round of hiring. A bunch of building substitutes applied for the jobs. And only about half of them got interviews. Of the subs that got interviews, myself included, the only one who made it past the screening interview was a relative of a current employee. The rest of us subs weren't the right fit. The real reason is that there's a substitute shortage and they don't want to lose any of us. Not a single sub, who isn't a relative, was hired for one of over a dozen teaching jobs. Many of the building subs are coming back next year. Our boss had a meeting and announced new policy that all salaried employees had to work a minimum of 45 billable hours per week because of the increased project load we had. I pointed out to a few co-workers that our employment contracts specified 37.5 hours per week, and that I would be adhering to that policy. Well, about a week later I was laid off due to lack of projects. I was happy to go. And at least 2 others left voluntarily within the week. The job I found next was much better, and wasn't run by someone quite so clueless about how to treat people. Turned out our owner was keeping the social security money taken from our paychecks. And yes, he was caught. Thanks for watching, mate. Make sure to smash that subscribe button for more high quality content.